Hello guys. So I just wanted to make a short video today. It's been a while. Not a very long while because I've had longer breaks making videos before, but I just wanted to continue uploading to this is my declaration, you can say. This is my declaration of my hypotheses and theories. And today I'm gonna talk about where does the concept of quantization come from in quantum mechanics. Because as I've said before, I'm not really a fan of quantum mechanics because it's been really made into almost like a religion. We're starting to perceive things in a very probabilistic way because of quantum mechanics, and people have kind of become a little bit obsessed with the idea. And the way that it's described also when it's introduced to you is introduced to you in a very mystical way. However, I think there's a better way to introduce quantum mechanics, but I wanted to talk about where did quantization start. Quantization started from a problem that happened in the 1800s. It was the problem called the ultraviolet catastrophe. When stuff, matter, becomes hot, it starts to emit light. The hotter it gets, the more intense the light will be, and also the higher the frequency of light. For example, a faintly hot object will be dark red or orange. A very hot object will be white, hot, or yellow. The hotter you get, you're getting into the blue, and that's kind of the way it goes. The hotter it gets, the more intense, and the higher frequency you're gonna get of the light, because red light has a low frequency and white yellow light has higher frequency. But the problem comes when we increase the temperature to a certain degree. We don't see an increase in the frequency anymore. They used a device called the Jeans cube. The Jeans cube was literally a box with a hole in it. A rectangular box with a hole in it. They hypothesized that, or they assumed rather, that the Jeans cube was a black body absorber or a black body radiator, because the hole was covered by the box, and what comes out from the hole will be a black body radiator. A black body radiator is something that absorbs 100% of the electromagnetic wavelengths and emits electromagnetic wavelengths according to its temperature. And that was what they assumed, that this cube with a hole in it, it was the hypothetical black body radiator. So they did the experiment and they arrived at an equation which predicted that the hotter the object gets, the more frequent the light would get. And even as far as to go into ultraviolet X-ray kind of light. But it doesn't. That's not what happens in reality. You cannot increase the temperature of an object until it becomes an X-ray radiator or radiates X-rays. So that was the ultraviolet catastrophe. So then Max Planck came in and said, what if there is a limit, a quanta of light? And that way he solved this problem and created an equation, a function, which mimicked the curve that we observe in reality. I think that's just fitting an equation to a curve. But anyways, we could use this function and the curve in a good way, good way. So then quantization became a thing. But I think that this is not the entire picture of things. Because from this assumption of the quantization, we created a whole soup theory. That's been useful, as I stated earlier, useful, but I don't think it's an accurate depiction of reality. What I think is that this quantization is a consequence or a result of the stable orbits of the electron around the atom of different charge. There is only some stable orbits. There is not an infinite amount of stable orbits. Some orbits look this way and some orbits look that way. That's what you call the orbital. And yes, there is an orbit, because the orbital has an angular momentum. And there is no angular momentum without momentum. See, because in quantum mechanics and how they oftentimes introduce the subject is that the electron is a cloud around the atom core. And that is what makes it a wave and a particle. When it's not around the atom, it's a particle. When it gets into the orbit, or the orbital, or the proximity of an atom core, now all of a sudden it disappears and becomes a wave. This is just total nonsense, in my opinion. So, yeah, the Jeans cube, look it up if you don't believe me. It's literally an oven that they used to try to derive reality, and they stumble upon a problem that matter don't get heated to ultraviolet levels in reality, but the quantization, the idea of quantization, I think they didn't get down to the source of the quantization, which is a consequence of the stable orbits of the electrons, because the electrons, it was emits the light. So it's not a quantization of light, it's a quantization of the orbits that the electrons can have, because you have to have a certain speed for a certain orbit. And then you have different shapes of orbits. And that needs different speeds. And the speed of the electron is linked to the frequency of the light that it can interact with. Anyways, tell me what you think about this in the comments. Gotta go. See ya.